Hey guys, it's OverMan, and for a while now, I've been pretty critical of the gaming industry, but today I need to be critical of myself. I haven't made a video in over 7 months, and it's not because I didn't want to make a video, it's because I have depression and anxiety. Depression has been affecting my life since around the fall of 2012, and I started this channel in early 2015. And I started it on a whim, really. I had been playing around with the idea for quite some time, and one day I literally just woke up, hopped out of bed, and said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. So I went and I ordered a capture card. But the thing that really pushed me to start this channel is that I needed something positive in my life, because little by little, my life was falling apart. And I figured that the only way to make things better was to do something that could make my life better. And I think that was a good decision. But while I've been depressed for years, as time has gone on, it's gotten much worse. And things started getting really bad towards the end of 2015, and 2016 was pretty much hell for me, which is why I haven't been posting videos. And someone might ask, what does you being depressed have to do with you not making videos? Well, let me explain. A while back, I was watching a TED Talk on depression by a guy named Andrew Solomon, and he said that the opposite of depression is not happiness, but vitality. And vitality is defined as the state of being strong and active, or energy. So I would have to agree with Mr. Solomon, because depression has made me feel incredibly weak. When I became depressed, I didn't feel like myself anymore. I felt like a corpse, just some lifeless sack of meat. And when you feel that way, like a sack of meat with no energy, no drive, no fire, no soul, you don't get much done, and it's hard to try and solve your problems. Much harder than normal. Because you lose a lot of your will to live. And not just to live, but to live well. So even though I enjoyed making YouTube videos and playing games and other things, I did it less and less. Not because I didn't want to or because I didn't enjoy it, but because I had no energy or drive to do so. I just didn't want to do anything except stuff my face with junk food. But this all started back in 2012, right after I graduated from high school and right before my first semester of college. At this point in my life, I was actually quite happy. Things were going good for me. In my last 2 years of high school, I was doing pretty well, and my GPA never dipped below a 90, meaning I was an A student, and I had been accepted to a decent college too. I also had a girlfriend, and I was working out and eating pretty healthy. On top of all of that, I started reading more, and I got interested in things like philosophy, psychology, and, just science in general. So while things weren't perfect, I can say that this was a good time in my life. It's sort of funny, but also pretty sad. At this time in my life, I remember thinking that my future was going to be good. I didn't expect to end up rich, famous, and hyper successful, but I thought, I'd go to college, start a good career, and live comfortably. Little did I know that I was approaching the darkest years of my life. Because before I started college, something happened. Something that really broke me. I felt like my mind had been shattered to pieces, and ever since then, I've been trying to pick up those pieces. But it's like, every time I try, I fail, and I end up cutting myself on the glass. And the crazy thing is, for a while, I didn't even realize how badly that thing that happened had hurt me. But years later, after thinking about why my life had gone so wrong, I now realize what put me on this path. And that's the thing. It wasn't just this one thing that happened. That one thing messed up my mind really bad, but after that, everything else just started falling apart. And when I started this channel, I was able to upload videos because while I was depressed, it was still manageable because I hadn't quite hit rock bottom yet. But after a certain point in 2015, it was really hard to stay focused, and that's when the depression and anxiety really started to consume me, because at that point, I hit rock bottom and I knew it. And that's why in 2016, I made a fraction of the number of videos I made in 2015. And in 2016, while I was pretty much at rock bottom, someone did something that really fucked me up, man. Something that really put me over the edge. And since then, it's been very difficult to keep my shit together. And the really sucky thing is that I made it so much worse on myself. I made it worse by not admitting that I have depression. I tried to hide it from other people and even myself. Because it's an embarrassing thing. It's not cool to be depressed. No one wants to be around a depressed person. And I sure as hell didn't want to accept that I was a depressed person. Because admitting that I'm depressed means admitting that I feel weak, powerless, sad, and angry. And that's not what I wanted to believe. I wanted to believe that I was a strong person, that I had the strength to overcome all of my problems. And that got me into a really bad cycle because I thought that this is just all in my head, and all I needed to do to change is to get motivated. So I would lay down for bed and say to myself, tomorrow, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to feel awesome. And I'm going to do all the things I want to do, and I'm going to turn my life around. And of course, I wouldn't, because depression and reality would smack me right in the face and the day would pass me by. And then because I failed, because I didn't do all the things that I planned to do, I would feel even more sadness. And then I'd beat myself up about it, and I'd feel even more worthless than before. And then, of course, the cycle would repeat itself. I laugh at it now because it sounds so stupid, and, you expect me to learn my lesson after a couple of days, but nah, I just went on like that for a long time. But now I do realize how dumb it was. In my head, I thought all I needed to do was to toughen up and to motivate myself so that I could get back to being how I used to be before. But that was dumb. When you're depressed, you can't just flip a switch and go back to being normal again. It's like a guy who could bench 315 pounds gets injured and he can't work out for a while. And then on his first day back in the gym, he tries to bench 315 again. That's crazy. You can't do that. You'll just hurt yourself even more. What you need to do is accept the truth. Accept the fact that you won't be able to bench what you used to for a while, and then you need to get physical therapy. And then, when you finally get back into the gym, you gotta start off light, and then you gotta work your way back up to what you were doing before. And that's what I should have done. I should have accepted that I have depression and understood that I won't be able to go back to the way I was before until I take the necessary steps to recovery. I think the reason I did that was because depression is a mental thing, it's not a physical thing. So I guess I just thought I had to snap myself out of it. I could just trick myself into being happy. I thought I could just pretend that everything was fine and that I was awesome and that I could get through this. And as much as I would like to deny it, I have to admit I do care what people think. I didn't want them to know what I was going through. Some of my friends asked me if I was okay because they knew I was going through some shit. And I lied. I said yes because I didn't want anyone to know what I really felt like. I didn't want other people to know that I was really sad and really hurt about the way my life was, and that I was angry at myself and other people. I just lied and said I was good because it would be embarrassing to say otherwise. Admitting the truth would be admitting that I was a failure, and I didn't want to do that. But now I see that was so fucking pointless, because even if I didn't say it, people knew. I mean, the people who knew me from before I was depressed could instantly tell that something was wrong. They could obviously see that I was letting myself go. I didn't take care of myself the way I used to. I didn't have the same energy and vibe that I used to. So really, it was pointless and stupid to try and hide it. And one day I was watching this video from one of my favorite YouTubers, Regular Car Reviews. And the video was titled Social Isolation on YouTube. And in that video, Mr. Regular talks about his feelings of loneliness, among other things. And I'll link it in the description box below. But I left a comment on that video and I said, he's got balls to admit that he's lonely. Because admitting that you're lonely is embarrassing. It's not a good thing, yet he made a video about it. And I said that this video seemed like the sort of thing that I would write and then either never share it or post it on a throwaway Reddit account. But here I am today, no doubt inspired by Mr. Regular, even though our problems are a little different. And I realized that depression isn't the only problem I have. Because of depression, I've lost a lot of my good habits. When I became depressed, I became a different person. A lot of the things that I was interested in before, I stopped caring about after I became depressed. Depression zaps your motivation, and it makes it really hard to be disciplined. And when you lack motivation and discipline, it's hard to do things like get up in the morning and go to the gym. And for a while, I had no interest in eating healthy anymore. I constantly ate junk food. I didn't read as much as I used to. I flat out didn't do as much as I used to. And I've been working on changing all of that. Recently, I've been taking steps towards dropping my bad habits and picking up good ones. They've mostly been baby steps, but at least they're steps in the right direction. I feel so much better about myself because I don't feel like I'm just spiraling down into an abyss. I don't feel like I'm progressively ruining myself. These days, I feel like I'm progressively improving myself. I feel like I'm getting better. And that's taken away a lot of the stress and the anxiety. And it's been helping to manage the depression. Now, so far, I've drastically reduced the amount of junk food I eat. I'm exercising again. I'm gaming more, which is obviously a great thing, and I'm reading more. And I have to admit, I've tried to do more than that, but, I've been kind of unsuccessful with those other things. And I think that's for a few reasons. First off, like I said before, I lost a lot of my good habits and I picked up a bunch of bad habits. And these bad habits basically revolved around instant gratification. I felt so low and so dead that I would only do things that would give me that instant high. And I'm not even really talking about drugs. Thankfully, the only drug I can say I've abused over the past few years is caffeine. And while that did have its negative effects on my life, it didn't destroy me in the same way that hard drugs would, obviously. But even though my bad habits didn't involve hard drugs, it doesn't mean they didn't have bad effects on my life, because they definitely did. And another reason why I've had a hard time getting my shit together is that I'm extremely emotionally and mentally inconsistent. Now, I don't have a formal diagnosis on anything, but man, some days I'm just full of optimism and I feel like everything's gonna be okay and everything's gonna work out and my life is just gonna be alright. But then I have those days where I'm the exact opposite. And on these days, I feel like there's no hope. Like I'm just gonna waste the rest of my life and then die. And then I have the days in between both extremes. And for a while, it seemed like I was on this 1 week to 1.5 week cycle where I would go from the manic days full of optimism and hope to the depressive days where I'm full of negativity. And speaking of negativity, that's another problem I've been trying to fix. For one reason or another, I'm extremely negative towards myself. Like, I'll tell myself the most fucked up things, and I'll treat myself in a way that I would never treat another person. I put myself down a lot, and I make myself feel like shit. And that really screws me up because it makes me feel like I can't do anything. But becoming aware that my mind is very toxic was good because it helped me realize that, I'm kind of full of shit, and that I need to get out of my head and stop worrying about everything. And I think that's helped out a lot lately. But like I said, I've been working on things and I've been taking some things that are effective at fighting depression. And while it hasn't completely cured me, in addition to a better diet and exercise, it's helped me become more stable and consistent. And when you're consistent, it's so much easier to make change. And this past week, I've been feeling different. I really feel like I'm starting to make progress and I feel like I can do this. I feel like I can beat depression. It's crazy how these past few years have really beaten me down, but for the first time in a long time, I can honestly say I feel good. Even though my life is still in shambles, it's okay, because I'm gonna fix it. One by one, I'm gonna fix it, and I'm gonna live. And I was really driven to make this video because the other day I woke up feeling pretty shitty. I was feeling pretty down on myself. I felt like I had no motivation or energy to do what I had planned today, but I thought to myself, if I just lay down and do nothing, I'm gonna feel so much worse in the future. But if I get up and I do what I can and I try to persevere a little bit, I'll feel better in the long run. I might not feel good today, but I can do what I can to try and feel better tomorrow. And I was right, because I do feel better. And since then, I've been trying to persevere more. I'm trying to get out of my head and out of my feelings. So, even if I don't feel good that day, or even if this is like one of those downer days where I'm feeling kind of depressed, I just push through it and just do what I gotta do. I focus on my goals and I get them done. And that's been helping out a lot lately. And that's a big reason why I'm here today making this video. So, I'm trying to get better, but this time I'm not gonna be dumb about it. I'm not gonna set unrealistic expectations for myself and then get sad when I don't meet them. I'm gonna take baby steps and I'm gonna try and slowly get better. Hopefully that works. I'm pretty sure it's gonna work, but And just yesterday I was thinking about the way I've been acting, for the past several years really. And I'm not happy about the way I've lived my life since I got out of high school. But I think I can excuse myself for that. I think I can excuse my behavior because honestly I was just trying to do what I could to cope and I really didn't know any better. But I can't live like that forever because I'm an adult. I'm going to be 23 this year, and I don't think I can excuse my behavior anymore. I have to do better, and I have to make change. Big changes. I know I'm not going to make all those changes at once, but I'll gladly take my baby steps over no progress at all. And if you stuck around till this point, I really appreciate it. Thanks for giving me the time. I know this is a very unusual topic for me, and most people probably don't want to hear some guy talk about being depressed and shit, but I thought it would be really good for me to get this off my chest so that I can move on and get better. And I think that's it for this one. I'll get back to the gaming videos after this, so I'll talk to you guys then. OverMan, out! Yeah, that was a good burp. That Chipotle burp.